Welcome to Deep Thought, folks. I'm the Crazy Even, and today we are going to go through Super Mario Land 2. We previously covered Super Mario Land in a previous video, so we're going to be, of course, covering the sequel. And again, with me, the wonderful, lovable, there I had two adjectives this time, Flameclaw.
You missed the word arsehole. That's what describes me better than any of them.
No, that's not an adjective, though.
I know, but it's also descriptive. But yeah, Super Mario Land 2, I'm kind of not going to be as on the ball with this one as I was with the first game. This is actually a game that I only actually played like a couple of weeks ago or so, and I'm glad I did. I had a good time with it, but a lot of this is going to be even showing me this game as much as anything.
Yeah, it's certainly an interesting game to show to one person because, as you can probably tell, like, if you've seen Super Mario Land, like, right before watching this video and just saw how weird it is, well, now you'll see just, like, how kind of, this is more conventional Mario. Although, again, like, as with Super Mario Land, this game was developed without Miyamoto's involvement, so there's going to be some weird occurrences popping up here and there. Not quite as much as Super Mario Land, but it's certainly there.
Yeah, this seems like kind of the halfway point, really. It's got some of Land sensibilities, but it applies it more to the traditional Mario formula. And you are going to collect a fuck ton of lives through these things. Just I can predict that right away.
It's like piss easy, especially with that like crane minigame. Like, get into a certain position, you'll always just get lives or get whatever you want as well.
You can also get the rabbit ears thing, which completely breaks the game.
Oh yeah, when we get that power up, I'm gonna talk endlessly about how amazing that thing is. But yeah. Anyway, this is like very kind of Super Mario World-ish as well. If you can, like, Mario's sprite is pretty much the exact same, if like slightly different than the one in Super Mario World. And interesting trivia fact. Originally, like, the sound effects were also just kind of like slight like alterations of Super Mario World sound effects, but the developers wanted to kind of like distance themselves as much as possible from Super Mario World, even with like this clear inspiration from that game. And I think like that was a wise choice because it's like, again, like as with Super Mario Land 2 is very unique in its own right.
I believe the decision to like use different sound effects was as much as anything because they recognised that the Game Boy was a less powerful system with a weaker sound chip than the Super Nintendo, and they realised if they were going to use the world sound effects, then they would have to be like gimped versions of them, and that would kind of just make this look like a lesser version of World to a lot of people. It would just have that effect.
Yeah.
And so just making up new stuff was kind of their little workaround, like, so it isn't quite as obvious. Like, and I say lesser sound chip as like from an objective perspective. Like, I prefer the Game Boy's audio on the whole. Like, the Game Boy has a fantastic sound chip, and there's a lot of games on the Game Boy with fantastic music. But yeah, like, you're comparing 8-bit music to 16-bit music.
Yeah. This is gonna be rather prevalent throughout Super Mario Land 2 as well, but Super Mario Land 2 has like a lot of secret levels, like tons and tons, and in this level we'll be getting to the first one, and I was faced with a tiny bit of a dilemma in dealing like how like recording and like editing together, like how we would be going through like the normal levels and like the secret levels, because in order to get to the secret levels you have to go like out of your way into places where they look kind of unusual, so they're probably going to lead to a secret level. And as you saw there, we got to the secret level entrance first. So as soon as we get done with this level, we're going to be heading back to the level that we're in, but we're going to like be starting kind of around the halfway point because that's how I edited it, and we're going to be showing off like the normal exit because so I thought that was like probably the most efficient way to show off like as like pretty much everything that the game has to offer.
So we're going to be going to all the secret levels, are we?
Yes, this is like the one we're in right now, and like the secret levels aren't like anything too special. Like there aren't any like collectibles in here. Well, I mean, of course, there are a lot of collectibles, like coins and stuff. But it's mostly just kind of like for like getting extra lives and power-ups. And there's also, of course, the satisfaction of finding the secret level in the first place. Yeah, as you can kind of see here, just kind of like from the halfway point, now we're just going to go to the normal ending that we would normally go through to get to the next level. And here we are, rabbit power up.
Yes.
Ooh.
You're dancing very close to them spikes right there. Oh my god, even.
Yeah, I don't get hit for most of this game. There's going to be one instance, but I had, like, my hands were tied, so, but we'll get to that eventually.
Oh, and that bugger when you're trying to record a run, and there's, like, the worst one for me was Sonic 3 and Knuckles, because if you want to use Supersonic or Hypersonic, you have to lose your shield in those games. And it's like,
oh, yeah.
I've got to intentionally jump on spikes, and it looks like I'm a dumbass who don't know what I'm doing, but I want to use Supersonic.
Yeah, it's kind of a similar situation here as well. And as you can also saw, like, some of the levels kind of like have like different pathways in order to get to the end level. Like, you don't need to like necessarily get all the pathways or anything, but it's just kind of like pick whatever path you want to go, like which one's easier, which one's more bearable for you. So yeah, I think that's a pretty cool design feature, especially like a lot more evolved from Super Mario Land, and perhaps even from Super Mario World, because I don't exactly recall that game having like multiple pathways. Well, I mean, I think there are a couple instances, but
there are some levels that have like alternate exits, like secret exits.
Well, yeah.
Like, I don't think it's as much of a focus. Granted, I could be pulling this out my ass because I've never actually beaten that game. I don't know. It's like Mario. I tend to just stick to like land, and occasionally I go back to the NES one just for the fuck of it. Most of my like Mario experiences from Mario Kart, I'll be honest.
Yeah, you should really like check out some of the later Mario platformers whenever you get the chance, like the 3D ones. Hell, even like the new Super Mario Brothers stuff. Like, as uninnovative as those games are, they're still pretty fun.
I do remember enjoying the DS one quite a bit back in the day. Like, I then sort of lost interest in that series when the later new Super Mario Bros. Games ended up being basically the same thing yet again.
Oh yeah, it got kind of ridiculous. Like, they were still fun, but it was just like come on, Nintendo, like you can do better than this, even though you're clearly not.
Yeah, like Nintendo have this habit of like playing it safe with Mario over and over and over, and like I guess that's what works for them, but it makes the series feel a bit sterile after a while, I find.
Yeah, Super Mario Odyssey certainly seems to be kind of like changing that up. I don't want to say significantly, because I don't exactly know how the game is going to play or how different it's going to be from the other Mario games. But, I mean, at least upon first impressions, that game looks like it's going to be something more unique.
It looks really pretty, I can say that much.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Like, even if it is kind of weird just, like, seeing Mario, the cartoonish Mario, running around in, like, a real-life city. But, I mean, well, there was also Sonic as well, yeah, doing that kind of thing, like, 15 years ago. But, yeah, tomato.
Yeah, I am sure Mario Adventure will be fascinating.
Yeah, see, the rabbit power-up, it's just the best thing ever. You can glide in the air for as long as you're, like, just tapping the button, and, like, as long as you don't run into an enemy, or there's, like, not a platform in your way. I mean, even if you are, like, because of gravity, just slowly falling to the floor, you can just go as far as you want, essentially.
Anyway, so how about that Angry Birds?
Oh, yeah. That's where they got the idea for... This is where they got the idea for that. But he's dead, so that's not going to be very helpful.
Yeah, the bosses in this game are really, really easy. Like, they all take 3 hits to kill, I believe, except for maybe the final one. And, yeah, it's just basically do what you did to that bird there to all of them, really.
Yeah, it's very funny. We're also going to be seeing a return of the... previous villain from Super Mario Land, Tatanga, in the next world, but unfortunately he's even weaker than he was in the previous game.
I like how we go in a hippo's mouth to get to space.
Yeah, and we go into this bubble right here, and that's essentially the whole level. It's just us up in the air in this bubble. You never come down. You just hold the button all the way up to the air. Nothing hits you until of course, the bell at the very end. But
I just find it funny how there is actually a level lower down, but you're never gonna see it because they give you the bubble.
It's kind of like things like these that you can kind of tell that with some of these levels, they weren't necessarily like polishing them to the fullest extent.
Yeah, it is definitely one of them things where it feels like that was an oversight more than anything. Like, it feels like one of them things that they were probably meant to be a nerf on the rabbit thing, like maybe a time limit or something that just never got around to happening.
Yeah. Now we're to the second world, the space zone, and for as short as it is, this is probably one of my more favorite worlds in the entire game.
Yeah, I like Mario in the little space suit. That's pretty fucking great.
Yeah, I like the slow rendition of the song as well. And speaking of the soundtrack, I gotta say, I think it kind of pales in comparison to Super Mario Land, because if you listen to it like frequently, you can easily tell that all the songs are, or at least most of the songs, are just variations of the main theme.
Yeah, it's doing the Super Mario World thing. The Land 1 soundtrack was just much more creative on the whole. Like, it's got much more charm to it. Like, this song isn't bad. Like, it's kind of a catchy little melody. But, you know, I want more than that.
Yeah, exactly. But, and I'm not saying, like, just because they were, like, doing a bunch of variations of the same song over and over again, it's not, like, necessarily bad. They're all different, even if they have the same melody. And, like, there are a couple, like, unique songs that are probably my favorite songs in the entire game, that one of the what we're going to be seeing very soon, that are very good in their own right as well.
Yeah, I will say with that, I like the idea of having motif music, you know, like a little riff that shows up over and over. The thing is, I don't like that being every level, or at least like most themes in the game, just like leeching off of that. I kind of think it comes to a point where it stops being a motif and just becomes like you're hearing the same song.
Yeah, it does get tiresome after a while, unfortunately, and that's why this game's soundtrack isn't quite as good as the first Land's.
Like, I think the example I have of like doing that kind of thing well, the one that comes to my mind is His World in Sonic 06, because the main theme like has got that distinct riff. It's sort of got the same appeal to it as the Kashmir riff. Let's be honest, it's got that sort of progression, but like you hear that in the main theme, and you hear it in things like, you know, the invincibility theme, you hear it in the final boss theme, and there's a few other variations of it during cutscenes and that, but all the level themes are completely distinct.
Well, I mean, I'm sure you've noticed that, but I'm not sure if whole lot of other people have, because I mean, their screams from the frustration of that game were kind of drowned out the soundtrack.
Well, see, the thing there is I kind of like Sonic 06, so
And your crucifix is waiting for you at the very end of this video, but that's for later.
Okay.
Yeah. This is one of the tracks I was talking about. I really love this one. It's probably my favorite in the entire game. It's just got this really sweet disco-ish beat, and it's just really good to nod your head to.
Yeah, this one's got a bit of a unique feel to it. It's like, this one, granted, this is solely due to me not having as much experience, but it didn't really embed itself into my brain as much as the Land 1 soundtrack has. So, like, I will probably over time, I'll start memorizing more of these songs. But just for the time being, it's like, yeah, this is a cool song, but that's like the extent of my affection for it.
Yeah, and as you can probably tell, this is essentially kind of sort of the same thing as the Hippo level we saw previously. Yeah. You just hold the button and you go all the way up. Although at some points they clearly designed this level with like more obstacles, instead of just having you go all the way up and then just waiting for the exit to occur. and yeah, I think that this more challenging as a result.
Yeah, that hippo level, that was like what people see every Boost Sonic game as being, and then you hold one button down and you win. Yeah, this one, it does at least have like the dangerous stars. I don't know why they're so angry, who pissed off the stars.
Well, I mean, maybe it has to do with the fact that we ran our spaceship, or no, I think it was a shooting star actually, into the crescent moon earlier. And he got very upset and then very sad about it, so maybe this is just petty revenge, and who knows.
Does that explain Moon Man too?
Oh no.
But yeah, I see the star aesthetic now, and it's just reminded me of Rice Star. I love that game.
I really do love this beat.
Here's Tatanga.
Yeah. Oh, Tatanga. Now, he does kind of put up a bit more of a fight than the other bosses in this game, but like I said, he's kind of pathetic regardless.
His challenge that you might struggle from is the fact that he's got two projectiles coming out at once that don't always line up with one another. But again, once you like pick up on his pattern, it's like, yeah, I can just bop him on the head 3 times, especially as you got the space physics there. So you can just, if you wanted to, you can just take the hit and, then bounce on him.
Yeah, and that'll do for this first part of Super Mario Land 2. Please join us next time for when we go to more worlds and have more Mario fun.